Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Educate to Acquire. Now, I'm here with two awesome letting agents, and I want to share with us how they use education to win fully managed clients. Yes, you heard me right. They use education to win fully managed clients to their letting agency business. So I am joined here today by Harriet Kirby. Hello, Harriet. How are you?
Hi, Sally. I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Thank you very much for joining us. I'm good, thank you. And we have Ali Durrant as well. How are you?
I'm really good, thank you, Sally, and thanks for having me. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Now, out of all the agent rainmakers we have, and we have many, and many of them are very, very good at education, these two stand out because they both have quite unique styles of educating landlords. And I want to actually talk to them about their two individual styles. And maybe you, as the guys watching and listening to this, could perhaps figure out which one you think would be best for you. So Harriet is the absolute superstar, in a category king of seminars, and Ali is an absolute legend when it comes to webinars. So we have a bit of a battle here between online and offline. I wonder which one you think will be best. So we'll start off with Harriet. So Harriet, you've been doing seminars for one, our physical seminars, meeting real live landlords in rooms in your town. Tell me about how a seminar runs for you. I know what you're talking about, basically. What is it?
Yeah, so we run our landlord seminars ideally twice a year. Sometimes we do a few more, do one more if we can. And we basically just bring our entire local landlord community together in a room and put ourselves in front of them.
Wow. And do you just talk to them, or do you do anything particular?
So no, we'll educate them on what's going on. We find that running these seminars is one of the most effective ways for us to get to generate genuine qualified leads. And by putting ourselves in front of these people as industry experts and local experts in their area, it instills trust in them, in us. They have trust in us because we're putting ourselves out there, to then come forward to us and ask us any legislative questions or tenancy management questions that they have, which then ultimately, and the aim is to end to fully managed conversions.
I like it. Okay, so that's what a seminar, guys. You're listening, you're watching, you're learning. That's what a seminar is. That's what we mean when we talk about seminars. And these are usually in the evening during the week, Harriet, as well, are they?
Yeah, usually we run them on a Tuesday or a Thursday from 6 till about 8, 9 o'clock, depending on how much beer's involved. And yeah, they're just a great way for us to chat and have some great conversations.
Just a couple of hours. Cool. Love it. All right, Ali. So webinars, what are we talking about with webinars? What are they? Just explain, what are we talking about?
Yeah, absolutely. So similar sort of aim and point of the event. I actually haven't done a seminar for about 6 years now. We shifted to webinars during the first pandemic all that time ago, back in 2020, and it effectively did the same kind of thing, but all virtual, all online. So get your software, sort out your content, and we drive traffic to an online virtual event, a bit like this one. And still, educate them on legislation, legal updates, and things like that, with the aim to nurture them into managed clients at the end of it.
Interesting. There you go, guys. Two strategies, two different ways of doing the same thing. Which one do you think is going to be best? All right, so let's start off with Harriet. How are you using seminars? Because most people think of seminars, come along, educate, have a little chat, and off they go. How are you using seminars to actually generate leads for your agency?
So, like I said previously, really putting ourselves out there as the local go-to person, in front of these people, I think it instills in them a trust that it can be built over a webinar. Of course it can, but you're there, you're face to face with them, and you have that opportunity to have the one-on-one conversations. Like, my voice is gone by the end of these seminars because I'm just having so many conversations with people. And it's their opportunity to pick your brain. But to be fair, my brain's here to be picked. I'm in a position where I have this knowledge that I'm willing and able to give to my local landlord community. And they see so much value in that. And with that comes their trust in me, which ultimately, not straight away, admittedly, but ultimately at the end does result in managed lets for us.
Interesting. So it's building that relationship, getting to know them, speaking to them, looking into their eyes as well, having a beer with them,
Massively, yeah.
building that community. Yeah, that's really
They get to know the real us, the people behind the Richard James brand, and who we are, and what sort of people we are, and what beers we drink or don't drink, and whether we like an egg sarnie or not. It's it's all real.
That's pretty good. I love it. Okay, Ali, so over to you. So, how long have you been webinars? Why do you do them, and how do you generate leads from them?
Yeah. So webinars, let's say I started doing them in 2020, beginning of 2020, and we do every quarter, and we've been very consistent for the last sort of 5 years or so. So we've done over 20 webinars in that time. And I totally agree with what Harry says. The one thing that we don't do is obviously have that personal connection. But what we can do is we can drive a lot more traffic to these events. So I use it as a lead magnet to get more and more landlords registered onto them. So we drive ads to our landing page to get people registered. But I also use it as a really good way of warming up our database of landlords, our database of people that have downloaded free guides and landlord guides and things like that. And yeah, the aim is to get hundreds of people onto each webinar to then be able to talk to many for a couple of hours, as opposed to just that more one-to-one sort of setting. So we use it in that way. We use it very much as the lead magnet and a database warming up tool. And then, of course, we have a bit of a sales process after to then try and connect to the people that attended to nurture them into clients.
I love it. And when you say nurture these clients, what sort of leads do you get from a webinar or a seminar? Are these landlords just going, I've always used agents. Can you rent my house? What is it you're getting?
So me personally on webinars, I generally find the majority of people that join them are self-managing landlords. Okay, so they may have had experience of using agents in the past, but typically on a let-only basis. So they've had agents set up tenancies for them, but they tend to do all the legwork themselves. So the majority of people in my audience are genuine, potential prospects that we can nurture and try and convert back into fully managed clients, using our knowledge of legislation and all of this stuff that we've got to our advantage. To effectively have them realise that, wow, there's actually quite a lot here, and I can really do some professional help.
So really, just letting them know what they don't know about, and there's a lot more legislation perhaps there that they know at the moment.
Exactly that, yeah. It's about educating them on what they don't know to have them realise that now's the time to think about options.
Yeah, absolutely love it. Any different for you, Harriet? Is it the same sort of thing?
Yeah, similar. We do invite our managed landlords, obviously, to give back to our managed landlords as well as those that we're trying to sort of attract new business from. But majority of them are self-managing landlords. Yeah,
good. I like it. All right, so let's have Harriet next. How could other letting agents use this to be creating more of an informed community, and how does that benefit you?
Well, I think as letting agents, we are perfectly placed to lead the charge in raising standards in lettings. We have the knowledge and the know-how on all of lettings legislation and compliance. And by educating these landlords on all of this, it's we're not just service providers. We are here to help everybody and educate all landlords as much as we possibly can to effectively make the sector better for everybody. So it is a really big thing for me, educating my local landlord community, and it's something that I've put a lot of focus on for the last 2 years, because in my area, certainly, there's no other agents out there that are doing it. So locally, I am the standout agent for educating landlords, for landlord seminars, and I have been known to do a few webinars as well, but I'm still seminar queen at heart. It builds loyalty as well with people, and people have that respect for us, really, because we are putting ourselves out there. If people... Now we get phone calls and they're like, "Oh, I've seen that you've got this free landlord event running. Can I just ask you this quick question?" And it just opens the way for so many more conversations.
Now I know, Ali, you even have conversations in the sauna, don't you?
Yeah, I certainly do, and that's what I mean. So I think a lot of people, as sort of Harriet says, it's a really good way of building your authority and becoming the go-to in your local community from a an expert point of view. And it's just about being willing to put yourself out there. But I also think when you look at the statistics of typically statistics of landlords, when you've got about 80% of landlords not using managing agents, they reckon about 25% of landlords aren't operating compliantly. I would suggest it's probably a bit higher than that based on all the health checks that I've done over the years. And something like 43% of landlords don't know about the rentals rights bill. So I actually think what we do to give that value to our local landlord community is so powerful, and the statistics really show why it's needed, and someone's got to sort of step up and be that leading voice, as Harriet said. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the difference between the two, I mean, you're both fundamentally doing the same thing, but with the seminars, you're getting that physical presence and that eye to eye and the personal contact. With webinars, you probably got, I would imagine, a bigger reach. So I'd imagine you get higher volume of people, but they're more of a wider area. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I certainly would. I mean, I've actually got a little bit of experience of seminars from just before I started doing webinars, and we typically had a maximum capacity of about 75 in the hotel room that we were using. So we had to be, quite careful with who we were inviting and really try and get some good opportunities in the room. With a webinar, the most people have had booked on the one has been just under 500, and we've had 200 and something people watch that live, and then another 80 odd watch the recordings. But then when the sales team do the follow up and start reaching out to people that attended, actually there's quite a big percentage that love what we're doing, but they're just so far out of the area we can't really genuinely do any business with them because they're just not in our batch.
When you first did a seminar, Harriet, was you nervous?
Oh yeah, very. Very nervous, yeah. And actually, it was our highest attended seminar as well. So, So we went into the first one. I didn't know what to expect. I massively put myself out there. We didn't have the tech to support us. We just totally winged it, to be honest with you. We ended up in a room with not enough chairs and not enough food, and the bar was downstairs. It was a logistical nightmare, but it was still to this date one of the best events that we did.
That's amazing, isn't it? So do you think it was nervous energy or just luck or just how it worked out or what?
I think it was probably a bit of everything. I sort of, put my big girl pants on and went out there and thought, right, I'm just going to scare these people and they're going to want to instruct me. And it did work out to a degree in that way. But certainly as we've done more of them, I've relaxed into it a little bit more. I'm a lot more confident now in delivering the seminars than I was when we first set out. I actually cringe now when I think about the first one. I went and had my hair done, especially, and massively overthought it. Made it into this massive big thing, and then when it was all over, I was like, oh, I'm a bit sad it's all over now. So, but yeah, that they have changed, they have evolved over the time, and now that they run very well.
And I think with webinars, there's one of two things that people get wound up about, Ali, is either terrified of seeing your own face on and hearing your own voice on webinar and not wanting to just, it's terrifying, or it's the tech. Which one were you?
For me, it was about being on camera. It was literally about being on camera, worrying about what to say. Am I going to, come across like an idiot? Am I going to, all of those things that sort of go through your mind. And that was massive. In fact, for the first couple, I didn't turn my camera on whilst I was talking, because I was that sort of nervous about it. And that was my way of sort of, putting myself out of my comfort zone and just getting it done. And of course, I'm very lucky to have, a colleague, Dawn, do the events with me. So, I'm not alone on these things, and she's got a lot more experience with public speaking than she said at the time. But yeah, that was the big one for me. It's about being on camera.
What about yourself, Harry? Was it? I mean, you can't hide, you can't turn the screen off when you're doing a seminar. You were worried about that, but were you worried about tech at all in any way? Like, how to support this, or where does this go, or whatever? Or did you just not bother about that in your first one?
No, the tech terrifies me every single time, and I say that they go well now. Our last one, we lost all mics and speakers, so I ended up just having to shout across the room, which everyone found hilarious. I had a very sore throat by the end of it. It's just one of those things. You've got to run with it and laugh it off as much as you can. Tech is tech. It's great when it's great. It's not great when it's not great.
Oh, absolutely. These things happen, don't they? So talk to me about webinars then, Ali. How do you, what goes into running one of these things? Obviously, you need the tech and all that sort of stuff. What goes into it? Because this is what a lot of people are scared of. Oh, the tech, I don't understand the tech. What do you need? How do you do it?
Yeah, so really, I mean, it doesn't have to be overcomplicated. And I think the best advice I can give is don't overthink it. It can be, you can get away with a pretty basic setup. You need some half decent webinar software. You need to have a landing page to drive potential leads to sign up to the webinar. There's got to be a marketing CRM for the leads to drop into that have signed up, a little bit of automation. There's plenty of good people that you can employ to help with the tech setup if you're not sure about it, because I'm not a very tech savvy person, but obviously we can utilize a good tech team to help us set it up. And then you've just got to start having conversations with people and let them know what you're up to, sending the links, emailing your database, and before you know it, you start seeing the registrants come in. Then you get to the event itself, and then it's about, okay, what content do you deliver, that kind of stuff. Again, my advice would be have a couple of you there to bounce off each other. So I personally do a lot of the sort of market update stuff. My colleague does a lot of the legal update stuff. Dawn does a lot of the legal update stuff, and just talk about what's current. I mean, renters' rights bill obviously massive right now. You can have a discussion style. You can have a few, placeholder slides, bullet points if you're more comfortable doing that. But just talk about current stuff, legal update, a little bit about what's going on in the market. And the big, what I love about webinars as well, which I found pretty early on when doing them. If you look at the live chat, there'll be loads of questions coming in. You can invite questions, and you can actually use the questions as discussion points and ask each other those questions, and that fuels a lot of your content as well. So actually, you'll find that it's quite easy to know what to talk about because you've got so many different ways you can approach it. But that's really all it takes. It doesn't have to be too difficult.
And yours are routinely every 12 weeks, aren't they?
They are, yes, they are. And there is a reason.
Has been for years without fail all the way through.
There is a reason for that. And what I found is a lot of the largest, particularly the larger portfolio landlords, the landlords that have been self-managing for a long time, it takes time to build up trust before they're ready to actually start handing their properties over to an agent. And you'll find that you'll get people that will attend 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe even more webinars before they finally get into that situation where they reach out and go, do you know what, Ali? I'm ready to talk now. Let's have a meeting. So by being consistent, you just keep that audience engaged, and before you know it, when they are ready, you're the only person they're going to come to because they've built all that trust and they know you're the expert. And that's why we do it.
I know you've said many times, you've had just one ex-landlord from that particular webinar, and you said, she's been to like 4 or 5. I remember you were telling me about one lady had been to, how many was it? You said the other
day? 5 webinars before finally booking in a meeting. Yeah.
And so if you'd have given up on the 4th, you wouldn't have got it.
Exactly.
So Harriet, how often do you host seminars? Is it always at the same venue? What's involved in running a seminar? What do you have to prepare? What do you need? What's the plan with the seminar?
So we aim to do at least 2 a year, which we feel we do. Our schedule is webinar, seminar, webinar, seminar. So we spaced it out a little bit. We go in with a slideshow, a presentation with. Sometimes we have a guest speaker. At our last one, we had a UK property tax advisor, which our landlords loved, absolutely loved him. And then we do a market update, sales and lettings market update, and a compliance update as well. And similarly to the webinar, we run a question and answer session after each of the specific sections, which does generate additional content, additional comments, great conversations between us and landlords. There's a great opportunity for them to meet other landlords that are in a similar situation as well.
Great, love that. Alrighty, so how do you fill them? This is the other thing. So is it the tech? Is it the face? Putting your face and your voice on camera. The third one is, what if no one turns up? So let's talk about that, Ali. So on a webinar, have you ever had nobody turn up? What how do you fill them? What's the plan?
Well, no, and actually, I think this is where if I'm pro webinar, I think I've got less, nerves around no one showing up to a free webinar than I would if I, gone to the effort to post a physical seminar and I can't fill the room. I think I'd actually be more nervous about that going wrong. With a webinar, I mean, I find so driving traffic too. As I say, we've got keep nurturing your database. Emails go out. Run some ads to the landing page. All of that sort of stuff. Registrants will go on, and then generally between 40 and 50% of registrants will show up. So if we've done a good enough job of marketing it, speaking to landlords, sending out links, getting email campaigns going, and all that sort of stuff, generally speaking, we've never been in a situation where we haven't got a half decent turnout. But I also think even if we do have a low number, like, for example, in our Liverpool branch, we actually had the webinar on the night where Liverpool were playing Real Madrid in Champions League, and of course, for that reason, we didn't have many people turn up. So there are factors sometimes you can be totally overlooked, but because you then turn it into a replay link and send it out to the people that didn't attend, actually more people will show up in the backgrounds, after the event goes live. So for me, I don't have too much of a worry about that, the webinar, but I think the seminar, I'd be more nervous about that.
So what about you, Harriet? How do you feel it?
So yeah, we use paid ads on social media. We push out to our database through our funnels. Filling it is probably, like Ali said, one of my biggest concerns. I don't think there would be anything worse than psyching yourself up to do a landlord seminar and 2 landlords turning up. But luckily, touch wood, we haven't been in that position. We do also invite our local our landlords who are managed with us as well. So, you're always guaranteed X amount of people. But yeah, I think it is a terrifying thought, and it's something that every time we run one of these events, I really have to push to the back of my mind that there is a possibility that nobody's going to turn up. Although more buffet for us, but we do call and keep in regular contact and send regular email reminders out for the event. So generally we do have a good idea of how many people are going to turn up.
It's interesting. I mean, it's one of those things, isn't it? What would you do if 2 people turned up? And I actually had that one sort of physical event. It was going back to around 2007, I think it was. And I literally did a physical event and only 2 people turned up. I say I wanted to just the ground to open up and swallow me. So I have actually been there, and it is horrific. But it is very unlikely. I've never known it with a landlord event. So I don't know. Have you, Ali? Have you ever had that scenario? 2 people? No, you haven't. You already said you haven't. Oh yeah. Terrifying. It is terrifying. I can confirm it's definitely terrifying. All right. So in what ways can regular seminars build stronger relationships? I think that's what we're all in the business of, isn't it, really? It's building those relationships, building those communities, making those relationships stronger. Harriet, how do you find that works with the seminars more so than the webinars?
I just think it creates more of a personal connection that's, in my opinion, quite hard to form digitally. I mean, I do love webinars, not as much as seminars. Seminars are the best. But it builds trust in them. So we're not just, it sort of shows landlords that we're not just here for their fees. We're here to help them and educate them. And we're generally invested in their success. So that's why we're putting on these events. We're not putting on these events for anybody else's benefit other than theirs. So I think it's just a great way of building trust and building transparency, because at the end of the day, agents, we do have that sort of black cloud hanging over us, don't we, as we're only in it for the fees and nothing else, and we have no care for our landlords or our tenants. And I just think giving back to them shows them that actually their business and their profit at the end of the day and their tenancy running compliantly is as important to us as it is to them. And I think that holds a lot of value.
Yeah, I mean, I know when I used to do seminars in the early days for you, Ali, as well, when you started doing seminars, a lot of people used to say to me, landlords used to say to me, why do you do these free seminars? They don't cost us anything, and yet you educate us for free. My agent doesn't do that. Have you ever had that, Harriet, that sort of conversation?
We get it all the time, time.
It's interesting, isn't it? And it is interesting because their agents don't do it, don't talk to them, don't educate them, don't notify them, nothing. And I can remember this guy saying, I don't know why you do it. And maybe I should use you as a letting agent. I says, well, maybe you should.
That's where I live, yeah.
Right, is it? Well, we know where we are.
Yeah.
Let me book you in for a call.
Yeah.
All right. So for someone thinking about doing their first landlord seminar, what would you advise someone to think about? Because they're going to have all those fears, Harriet. They're going to be thinking about, hair, makeup, what do I look like? Sound, do I need microphones? Oh, what if no one turns up? What do I talk about? What topics do I talk about? How do you encourage them, motivate them? What would you say to them to make them feel a little less terrified of running a seminar?
In all honesty, I would say if I can do it, anybody can do it. It's the key thing to it is knowledge. As long as you've got your knowledge there and you're confident in delivering what you know, you're fine. The tech can let you down, the lights can go out, the buffet can be terrible. People are there to know what you know. And as long as you can deliver that, you don't even have to deliver it brilliantly. But as long as you can deliver that, they get value out of your knowledge. So I think the best thing to do is be prepared. Be prepared with what you're going to say. Make sure you're clued up on as much as you possibly can do for those curveball questions, because you will get them. There will be people there trying to catch you out. I had one the very first time we did one, and he was just throwing question after question after question after question at me. And it was a lot, and I could feel myself like burning up red from my inside soul, and it was taking over me. And I was like, I just had to take a minute and think, no, Harriet, right, calm down. There's nothing this guy can throw at you that you can't handle. And I think you just have to go into it with that mindset. You know, as agents, we battle landlords and tenants day in, day out. That's what we do. And as you know, good agents, you are educated, you do have the knowledge, you know the compliance. It's what you do day in, day out. You just need to deliver that. And if you deliver that, you'll be rewarded for delivering it well.
That's amazing. Annie, what would you say to give somebody the confidence to take the plunge, book their first webinar, and face the music and go and do it?
I actually, I think the best piece of advice that I can give is keep it simple. But don't overcomplicate it, because obviously for your first one, it's really about being willing to put yourself out of your comfort zone and put yourself out there. So I would just fully focus on, for the first one, just mail it to your database. Just even if there's only 10, 20, 30 people show up, it doesn't matter, but just focus on putting yourself, being willing to say yes, put yourself out your comfort zone, get a taste for it. And then what you'll do is, once you see the results and you get that instant gratification from people that go, oh, this was amazing, you know so much, thank you so much, our agent doesn't do this, all that kind of stuff, you'll start getting those comments, and then it'll just give you the confidence to carry on. And then as you get better, and it took me a good few to get used to being on camera and stuff like that, then you can start thinking about, how do I improve it? How do I get more people on there? How do I get more conversions? All that sort of stuff. The beginning bit is really just keep it simple and be willing to put yourself out your comfort zone is the best advice I can give.
And what just to finish off, really, just to give people an idea whether it's worth it or not, what sort of average revenue, I don't know, how many deals do you get or revenue do you get or whatever from a webinar or a seminar, or what sort of results can they expect? What's the best results you've had, the average results you get? What would you say that those sort of numbers are for you, Harriet?
So for us, we have had people instruct us there and then on the night. We have had that, but also, so we can still take instructions from it months and months and months down the line. It's sort of, they're like the gift that keeps on giving almost, because people will always remember. They'll always think, oh, I've got this problem. Oh, I know. I went to Harriet's Richard James Landlord seminar. I'll give Harriet a call. So yeah, we have really had some phenomenal results across the 3-4 that we've done so far. We've achieved over 500,000 additional income from them.
Wow, that is amazing. That in how many years?
2.
In 2 years. Yeah. Great. If you're thinking about not doing a seminar, guys, you now have to do one. What about you, Ali? What would you say your best and your averages from webinars?
And a little bit like Harriet, it is hard to put an exact number on it for a couple of reasons. Obviously, you get the clients that you can see that journey. You've got them in the webinar, you've followed up, you've had a meeting, you've converted them, and they've given you their portfolio or whatever. So you can really easily quantify that. But even just the simple things, like imagine you get a landlord that approaches 3 agents for a lettings valuation, and one of the things that helps in their decision to use you is the value that you can give that the other agents aren't talking about. So they may not have come directly through ads to it or watched it yet, but it's these little things that you can put into your, the way you communicate with new potential clients from anywhere that actually get them engaged with you and have you stand out over your competition. But what I can quantify from all of my tracking is we run at about a 45 times return on ad spend, or our webinar funnel over the 5 years that we've been doing them. So they're absolutely huge.
So if you spend £1 on ads, you get £45 back, is basically what you're saying. Spend £1, you get £4,500. Spend £1,000, you get 45,000. So the 45 times return on spend, which is a really good metric, actually, so people know what to spend. So the question is, how much do you want to spend? Whereas how much do you want to make? And then it gives you an easy answer. Guys, you two have been absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for sharing all of that with us about webinars and seminars. I know it's one of those things that I'm always a little wary talking about openly, because people are like, oh, it just instantly terrifies people, the thought of doing a webinar and a seminar. But you two are absolute outliers. You've made it happen. You've gone out there and put it into play. And that's absolutely phenomenal. If we've inspired another 1 or 2 people tonight to go out there and do it for themselves, and I think that's a job well done. Thank you both for being here. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Rapness.